It isn't the knock itself that unsettles me. It's the fact that it's always just one knock. Never two, never three, just once. And it's always at the exact same time, 3:17 in the morning. At first, I didn't even notice. I had just moved into a little rental house on the edge of town. It was the kind of street where the trees are older than the power lines, and they bend over the road like they're standing guard. It was supposed to be a clean slate. No more traffic screaming through the night, just quiet. But quiet has its own kind of noise. It was my third night there when I first heard it. A single knock at the door. Not loud, not urgent, just polite. I sat up in bed and waited for another. But nothing. I told myself it was a branch in the wind, or maybe a raccoon somewhere was testing its luck. So eventually I just went back to sleep. But 3 nights later it happened again. Same exact time, 3:17 a.m. This time I got up. I had my phone in my hand and my heart in my throat. I peeked through the blinds, but the porch was empty, the street was empty, even the crickets had gone silent. By the third time it happened, I stopped treating it like a coincidence. It's strange how something so small can dig into your head like a splinter. All day long, I would forget about it, but at night, I would find myself listening for it. And right on schedule, 3:17, knock. That was when I bought a doorbell camera. The first night with it, I stayed awake until 3 in the morning, just fighting off sleep, waiting for something to happen. And at 3:17, I heard that knock again. I went, I looked, nothing. The porch was empty, the street was still. The next morning, I scrolled through the footage. The sound was there. It was clear, undeniable. But it was as if the knock had come from nowhere. There was absolutely no one on the porch. Eventually, I got up the courage to ask a neighbor about it. There's a guy named Harris. Says he lived there since the 70s. And when I asked, he just nodded, like he'd been waiting for me to bring it up. He said it just happens now and then. Sometimes to him, sometimes to the neighbors across the street, but never more than once to the same house in a row. That didn't exactly make me feel better. Weeks went by, and sometimes nothing would happen for days. And then out of nowhere, that knock. One night, I decided I wasn't going to be caught off guard again, so I sat in the living room with the lights off, eyes locked on the front door. And at 3:17, there was dead silence. And then, that knock again. But this time, it didn't come from the door. It came from behind me, from the hallway that led to my bedroom. I froze. The hall was nothing but darkness. I told myself it was the house settling, some strange new echo. But I did not move from that chair until sunlight hit those blinds. The next night, I locked the bedroom door, something I never do, and I shoved a chair under the handle for good measure. I drifted into a very shallow sleep, waking up every few minutes just to check the clock. And eventually, 3:17 came. But there was silence. When I finally opened my eyes again the next morning, the chair was no longer under the handle. On the side of the door, as faint as glass, was a handprint, much, much bigger than mine. 3 more weeks passed with nothing after that. No knocks, no handprints, No reason to keep my bedroom door locked anymore. I was almost convinced it was over until last night when I woke up for no reason at all. I glanced at my phone, 3:17 a.m., and from somewhere in the dark house, one room away, I heard the knock.